When President Joe Biden took office, one of his first acts was dissolving the 1776 commission that was formed 3 months earlier under the Trump administration. There was a fierce reaction that came even before reinstating overseas abortion funding. Well, my next guest was a member of President Trump's advisory 1776 commission. He also served as the 17th U.S. Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. Today, Dr. Ben Carson is chairman of the American Cornerstone Institute, which he founded to engage in the work to heal the divisiveness that plagues our nation's politics. Dr. Carson, welcome back to Pray Vote Stand.
Thank you, Tony. It's always good to be with you.
It's good to see you. You heard our conversation. We were talking about Frederick Douglass with Dean Nelson. You were part of the 1776 Commission. Why does our history matter, and why should we concern ourselves with this topic?
Well, it's so very important. First of all, our history is something I think we can be extremely proud of. And our identity comes from our history, and our beliefs come from our identity. So once you begin to destroy those, you leave people in a situation where they're very easy to manipulate. And that's why we should be very, very conscientious about making sure that the correct history is taught. We have a glorious history. Now, it doesn't mean that there weren't some warts. There are warts because people are imperfect, and no matter where you are. But what happened with the 1619 versus the 1776 is 1619 tries to say that slavery is at the root of all of our history, that our country was built around slavery. And 1776 instead looks at the entirety of our history, slavery as only one part of it. And what people don't realize is that there's actually more slavery in the world today than there was in 1863 when the Emancipation Proclamation was brought forth, particularly in terms of sexual slavery, which is increasing dramatically in recent months because of the situation at the border. We need to be concerned about that and know that slavery has existed since there were societies. The United States of America, though, is the only place that fought a war largely around slavery and lost a very significant part of its population fighting against the concept of slavery. And then you have to look at the enormous progress that was made in this country, particularly in the Black community. When I was a kid growing up, I didn't see Black people in special positions. In fact, I remember every time there was a Black person on television who wasn't a servant, everybody got excited. We say, come. Not an issue anymore. Now we have Black admirals and generals and CEOs of major Fortune 500 companies and universities, including Ivy League universities. We've had a Black president, a Black vice president. And, look at other minorities. If we were such a racist country, why would people be forming caravans trying to get in here? It just doesn't make any sense on its face. We've made enormous progress. Do we have more progress to make? Of course we do. And the way that we do that is that we examine our history, we examine the history of other societies, we learn from that. We don't try to erase it or condemn it. We learn from it. That's what intelligent people do.
Dr. Carson, you bring up a really good point. When you weigh the evidence, and as you just pointed out, the advancements that have been made by African Americans in this country, I mean, they're president, vice president, presidents of colleges, businesses. So how is it that you can have this narrative that there is systemic racism in America that is holding people down and depriving people of opportunity, while at the same time you see the evidence of opportunity and achievement and accomplishment? How do you have both?
Well, many people on the left will not acknowledge that all of those things that I just talked about actually occurred, or that it's some kind of epiphenomenon. But the fact of the matter is, what people have to do and what we encourage people to do at American Cornerstone is actually engage in discussions and look at the evidence. And when we have roundtables, we put the facts on the table. We invite people from different perspectives, but put the facts on the table. Let's have a conversation around the facts, not around ideology, but around the facts. And what you'll discover is that you can take the most radical right-wing person, the most radical left-wing person. They're going to agree on 90% of stuff. What happens is we take that 10% and the media fans those flames, and we try to irritate people and make them think that they're enemies. Those people who lived across the street from you for the last 20 years peacefully are now your enemy because they have a different yard sign. And we, the American people, have got to be smart enough to see that we're being manipulated. Our nation is much too strong to be brought down by China or Russia or Iran or North Korea or any other entity. But we can be brought down by ourselves, by internal strife. And as Jesus said, a house divided against itself cannot stand, never has stood, never will stand. We are in grave danger of not being able to pass on a nation with liberty and justice for all to those who come after us.
So this effort to erase, distort our nation's history is intentional. Who is it that will benefit from this effort?
Well, I think we've all heard about those who want to fundamentally change our nation. They're not necessarily bad people, they're just misguided. They believe, as many people believe before them have believed, that the better system is one in which you give all power to the governing bodies and they take care of you from cradle to grave. That way they can equitably redistribute things and make sure that everybody is taken care of. The only problem with that system is that it never works. I can remember a number of occasions going to Venezuela before they turned socialist. And it was a beautiful place, beautiful resorts and hotels and shopping centers. And, the biggest controversy that people always talked about is whether or not they were the most beautiful people in the world. And look where they have gone, from the most powerful and wealthiest nation to one that everybody is trying to flee from.
Dr. Carson, one thing I so appreciate about you is not only do you understand the times in which we live, but you know what to do. And you are, through your new organization, you're working on a project coming up. It is called the Little Patriots Initiative that will help our young people. This goes really to the start, at the very beginning, when they're learning about America's history, that will educate them. Tell our viewers about that.
My battery's running low, so the visualization may be compromised. But the Little Patriots is trying to make sure that our young people get the true history, warts and all, of what happened. And so they can be actually proud of our country because it is an outstanding place. And there's more about that on the website, AmericanCornerstone.org. But this summer, we have a whole program, educational program, that is being rolled out with interactive component so that the young people actually have a lot of fun while they're actually learning about our history. And, it was Vladimir Lenin who said, "Let me have your young people to teach for 4 years, and the seeds that I plant will never be uprooted." And the left is trying to take advantage of that by this critical race theory and all of these distortions. And we must be the ones who fight that. But let's fight it in a positive way and give them the real information in a way that they will appreciate.
Absolutely. Dr. Carson, I want to thank you for joining us. And I know your computer battery may be running low, but you're still running strong, and we're grateful for it. And so pleased to have you with us tonight.
Thank you. Always good to be with you.